must be listening to the experts then.
Only listen to experts.
You're taking your doctor's advice.
Yes. Eating 6 square meals a day. Making sure I get lots of
Carbs.
oatmeal and
Yeah.
yeah.
Wheat, whole wheat. I hear
Whole
better.
wheat. Yes, whole wheat is
Yeah.
better, but sometimes I do enjoy Cheerios. Plenty of seed oils.
Corn syrup is not bad for you, from what I've heard. Corn syrup, for high fructose corn syrup, is just as good as honey. That's according to the experts.
So, right. I mean, that has to be true.
It has, because it's the experts.
Yeah.
The experts. There's a reason why they're called the experts.
Exactly. They know, they went to school for years.
Yeah, they 8 years of school,
and then 12 years of residency, and
yeah. What do? YouTube. We watched the YouTube video.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think we're going back to the traditional. I'm gonna go to my doctor. I'm probably gonna get statins because I've been eating so much red meat. I need to reverse the cholesterol damage.
Definitely the cholesterol.
So statins is the way to go. What else can they give me? Probably Prozac. My mind's way too active.
Yeah.
Slow it down a little bit.
Some modafinil might help me, get focus better.
Evened out. Yeah. Okay. All right. So now back to reality.
Oh yeah. Here we are.
Week 4.
Yes.
All right. So 4 weeks on the carnivore.
Mm-hmm.
Our progress, results, things we noticed. How's it going with you? Because we had 2 weeks, I would say, huge, big changes. 2
Right.
weeks. The next 2 weeks, changes, but not so dramatic, because it was we took out that thorn out of our side, right? So that first step was huge, and now it's kind of evened out. It's a little more gradual. So what do you see in the last 2 weeks?
So, I think the best thing that's happened since our last update is really feeling like my energy is going up. When I wake up, I feel like I slept more, completely, I guess. You know what I mean? It's a better amount of sleep, even if it's not enough hours of it. Energy through the day is really good. Just,
how do we know it's not placebo?
You don't, in a way.
Okay.
We've talked about this, and it's well, if it is and it's still working,
placebo, non-placebo, it gets the job done, right?
Right.
Okay.
If I give you a placebo effect and your bank account still goes up, are you gonna?
No. Don't tell me. Yeah, I don't want to know.
You're right. Just
placebo.
keep letting.
Yeah.
So, I find it difficult to believe that it's all a placebo effect. For example, my back pain has gotten a whole lot better, and that's tremendous. And I know on one hand you could just argue, well, you've lost some weight. And that's true, but I've been lighter than I am now, younger than I am now, with more back pain.
Interesting.
So, like I told you, you asked me one time how much did I weigh when I met my wife. And that was, really close to 200 pounds. And so back then, I had a lot of back issues. I remember one time specifically, all I was doing was sitting in a waiting room. Okay. And I was reading a magazine, and it was
magazine. What is this? 94?
No, it was a while ago. Maybe not 10 years ago, but 7 or 8 years ago.
It sounds like you didn't have a phone, because nobody reads magazines nowadays.
No, I had a phone. I did.
Okay.
I was just looking at the pictures. I wasn't actually like reading the magazine. The point of it is that I wasn't doing anything other than I had leaned forward, got the magazine, and I had my elbows resting on my knees, and I was sort of in that like half bent forward position while sitting on the chair in the waiting room. And I just was there for a while flipping through the pages before I got called back. And that was it. I totally threw my back out. And so when I bring that up just to make the point that I've had back issues for a long time. I know what my back is capable.
I got you. So that sounds like it's one of the biggest indicators of non-placebo effect.
Right. The thing that I'm having right now, I still have back pain. It's not like miraculously disappeared. It's just so much better. And it used to be where if I had an issue, you know, it might be 2 or 3 days where I could really feel it, where I would be not happy because I slept wrong or something like that. And it's just so much better. And then, you know, we mentioned before, you know, the bottoms of my feet. Well, I feel like placebo effects can only last for so long. The bottoms of my feet really used to hurt when I got out of bed in the morning. That's kind of an older...
I'm right behind you. I started having that. I'm like, what the heck is that?
Right. It kind of feels like you're shaking the rust free when you first wake up.
Yeah, and that kind of goes away. But it's gone now.
Yeah.
And it's so subtle. Like, I mean, I noticed it like the first 2 weeks. But now, as you know, the next 2 weeks came by, it's still gone. It hasn't returned. So that is definitely not a placebo effect. I could, by the way, sleep. You mentioned sleep. I've never slept so good. Like first, like the first week, it was kind of a little bit here and there. Because for whatever reason, when I eat red meat, I get like sort of like almost nightmares or like fever dreams almost. Mm-hmm. But that's gone. Now it's even. It's just solid.
Right.
And my sleep has never been better. I have like this, I don't know, bladder, kidney pain, or it's like more of a kidney pain, but it's has to do with something with the tube that goes to the bladder from the kidneys. Anyways, I've had that for 15 years, and it's been kind of gradually getting worse, maybe being the same. And I've always got up in the middle of the night because the pain is there. I always had to roll over. That's gone.
That's great.
It's like that right there is like one of the biggest miracles that I've had so far from this in the last, 4 weeks.
One question that keeps running in the back of my head, because I know we're kind of like learning and doing it at the same time.
Absolutely.
Like we're almost in like an apprenticeship,
Right,
it's
right.
like, when I think about certain things like my anxiety, and we've learned, like I'm learning right along with you about how the insulin levels work and how they affect other things like your adrenal glands. And so I can see why bringing my insulin down might be one of the reasons why the anxiety is coming down. Because we're kind of quasi arguing that the carnivore diet itself might be one of the healthiest things you can do.
Sure.
But are the effects directly from the food we're intaking, or are these effects of the insulin portion of it more than maybe like, say, dietary nutrition? Because I used to hear all the time people would talk about, joint pain, tennis elbow, they start taking fish oil and ta-da!
It's magically went away.
Right. So when I start thinking about these things, what I wonder a lot is, because we've eliminated so many of the things, I wonder which one of those things that I eliminated might have been the culprit.
Well, that's why they call this the elimination diet, right?
Yeah.
There's a very specific reason why certain people do this, because it eliminates all this, and then you slowly introduce different foods. But we have, let's say, two major things. We have eating beef. So we eat nothing but beef. I mean, I sometimes eat like a salmon or shrimp or something like that, or maybe a chicken, but it's been like weeks since I ate any chicken, and salmon I ate like twice. Anyways, so let's say we're just eating beef. That's one thing. The other thing is we almost have no insulin in our system. So the two biggest factors we could look at: the no insulin and no beef, or no beef, nothing but yeah, nothing but beef, right? Like the only other way to like test this is like we eat the same way, like strict carnivore, which is just beef, nothing else, no fish, no chicken, no pork, just beef, butter, and maybe eggs. You know, you could throw eggs in there.
I'm with the eggs.
Yeah. I'm kind of hit and miss. Like I would have eggs sometimes, like once a week. Like I would have 4 eggs, and then I wouldn't have eggs for a week. Anyways, but I like the eggs. I love the eggs. Don't get me wrong. The only way would really know is eat beef the way we're eating, and then inject insulin into us.
Or just one of the foods that we used to eat.
I mean, or you could take a spoonful of sugar.
Just a spoon.
yeah, that's what makes the medicine go down.
Yeah. Well, there's,
Or helps the medicine go down.
I know Disney was demonic, but man.
Yeah. I only know that because my kids keep singing it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So, like, but then you're introducing sugar. That's why I say just inject insulin directly. That way you'll see effect. I don't know. I think that would create havoc. Like you eating beef and then injecting insulin.
It just feels like I'd be sick.
I know, right? That
It just doesn't
sound right. Sounds like it's really, really bad for you.
So let's talk about some other things while
Sure.
we're on this update topic. So, cravings.
Dude, I forgot what they are, to be honest with you. Like, I could see ice cream, and I know it's good to my mouth. I also know how I felt after eating, a jar of ice cream, right? But I don't, because before I just understood why I need to do carnivore, because like I said, I've tried it many times before, but before I understood why I need to do carnivore, I was kind of suffering trying to understand what's it gonna take for this hunger. I'm like, I got plenty of fat on me. I should not be hungry. Where's this craving of hunger coming from? It was so frustrating. And all I had to do is just eat beef.
Well, I think this isn't where I was actually going with this, but this is a huge, at least, question in my mind, which is just how engineered is the food out there to make you to artificially generate signals that your brain normally wouldn't give you. Because I know there's chips and fast food and all these things, they're laden with additives, and it's just amazing how many there are, and things that make it taste better. And
why do food companies need to hire scientists to engineer food to taste a certain way? Better, whatever you want to call it, addictive. Why is that even a thing? When you cook a piece of steak on fire, I mean, if you're going all out, don't cook it, whatever, but I prefer cooked. I like it cooked, and then you throw a little bit of salt on there, done. There's literally nothing better.
It is really good. No, and that's kind of that's closer to where I was going with this, which is, it's this odd thing. I thought, and I realize, we're at a 4-week mark, almost a month, that this isn't 20 years, because time,
Sure.
Time has relative power. But nonetheless, I really thought I was going to look at something and start drooling or craving or desiring in my head, like I really want that. And it's not happening. And I thought I was going to be bored of the flavor of cow.
But no, it's a new experience every time.
It
is
yeah.
like, okay, then, if you get bored, fast for a day.
Right.
You will drool for that piece of steak.
And moving along with continued benefits, I'm still noticing an improvement in my smell from the coat, right? That, if there is something that's healing more and faster than anything else that I'm noticing, it's that. The amount of scent that I've regained in a month is kind of shocking to me.
Interesting. Okay, so speaking of benefits again, I've had headaches for a while, like kind of on and off, weird throughout the day. Like maybe I'm not drinking enough, stuff like that, right? But I'm pretty much have the same routine in the last 4 weeks, and I think I've had a headache maybe twice, which is like really, really good. I have this like muscle thing right here in the back, and it's causing my headaches. Like I'm pretty sure it's that.
I just got a little muscle thing right here.
Oh yeah, was it from doing this? yeah. Anyways, the headache's pretty much gone. Like it's just stable. Like I don't know how to explain. Like you have to feel it, and the thing is, it's gradual. It's gradual. Like how can I? It's because like doing this, it's not like it's on or off. It's not like it's taking a pill and it's not there, then it's there. You have to actually. That's why I think the whole placebo thing comes into effect. Like why is this a placebo or not? We have to understand. And I don't think it's not. It just takes a little bit. You have to recognize it, and it's a huge change.
So I'm in my recent past more plagued with headaches, and
Okay.
I've had a few good ones since we've been on this.
Okay.
It hasn't been anything, one, worse than I had already had experienced, and two, don't feel like it's happening as much. And one thing kind of on this side of the topic is, there's kind of like an up and a down side of this. So one thing I have noticed, I'm a lot more thirsty.
Absolutely. I'm right there with
Okay.
you. Yes, yeah. It's a different kind of thirst.
Right.
I would say it's almost like a real thirst.
Kind of. But as we've done this, I did start introducing like a scoop of electrolytes in you saw that big water jug. And I really feel like that has helped.
Are you still doing it?
Yes.
Well, okay. The whole thing of carnivore, it's supposed to be pretty bare, like beef, salt, and water. But I mean, maybe you don't salt your steaks enough or your beef enough.
And you saw the electrolytes that I use.
Yes.
I think there's like 3 overall ingredients. It's like salt, potassium, magnesium.
Sure. Yeah.
So, and I don't think it does much more than makes the water more osmotically available.
Okay, that could be just the water that you drink in general, maybe.
Possibly.
I just heard it yesterday, where people live in areas that the water is more mineral rich, have less issues overall.
Right. No, and my water at home it's about as good as city water could be, but it is city water, and it's just run. I have a good filter at home, but it's not like a reverse osmosis where it re-injects the minerals into the water, all that stuff. So that's probably been about the only thing. But on the other hand, just kind of this interesting side of it, I was drinking a lot of fluids before, but in the form of coffee, energy drinks, diet soda, right? And so as I am drinking a lot more water now, I also am enjoying the water a lot more. Like I'm not sitting there. This goes kind of back to those cravings. Like I'm not eating my steak, just wishing I had a Diet Shasta Cola with me.
That's a good point. Good observation. I'm the same way. Yeah. I'm satisfied with what I have, the steak and the water next to me.
Right, right. So
There's not that craving's gone. But overall, the cravings, I would say if you look at a chart, the cravings used to spike.
and when we first started this, it was like what I was explaining. It's like those cravings now almost feel like some kind of outside force
Or like a distant memory.
well, a distant memory from here, but the cravings themselves, as I think about them now, almost feel like they were not like an internally generated thing.
It's your fat cells going, feed me, feed me.
And it's your brain going, you need this flavoring additive, or you know,
That's called addiction.
right.
Wow.
So
Fascinating.
overall, how's your weight loss going? Are we
I'm about, in the 4 weeks, I'm roughly 12 pounds.
so you're a little better than me.
Yeah. But the last week slowed down. It went from like a steady 3.5 to it was like 1.5 the last
Right.
week. We'll see. I mean, again, our bodies, it was a kind of a hit. It's going to do its thing. So we'll see where it fluctuates. But again, I've heard plenty of stories where they go longer at carnivore. It takes them a month to adjust to it. And then the next month, they just start dropping weight like it's nothing, or 3 months.
Right.
So we'll see where it goes. I mean, technically, there's no way it should stop or go reverse.
No.
Unless you listen to the traditional, medical advice, whatever that would be.
And then I'm
Eat
down
wheat.
about 8.6. We just
6. Okay,
So-
8.6.
and I think I've seen just a little slowdown too. We're looking at an average of like 2 pounds a week, but it was like close to 3, 2.5, 2.
Okay. I want to see if that progression goes because my first week was a little bit less than my second week. Second week was a lot, and then my third week was about the same as my first week, and then the fourth week kind of slowed down a lot.
So then on the other side of all of this, how are things? They're kind of like, I feel like the other side of this coin. How is like your motivation?
That's a fantastic question. That's actually a really good question. It's almost like I even realize it, but I tend to. Interesting. Okay, now I'm like, oh my god, because okay. Also, side note, I've been weightlifting the last 4 weeks as well, 3 times a week. So, and I've been very consistent with it. I didn't miss any days. But now I'm thinking there's very little, if almost no. I can't recall me sitting there and going, "Oh, I don't want to do anything."
Right.
Dang.
So for me, similar.
Wow.
I'm not exercising as consistently as you are, but I am doing it, and I'm starting to feel like the yes voice is getting louder than the no voice.
Okay.
Does that, it's
yeah.
like, because there's that part of you that gets off work, comes home, sits down, TV's on already when you get there.
Yep.
And you sit on the couch because you need a minute. And there's a switch. And it's either I'm going to get up and I'm going to go do, or I'm going to sit here, be complacent, and enjoy the new season of Bridgerton.
Whatever that is. Okay.
So the voice on the other side for me is getting stronger.
That's a fascinating observation. I did not even I don't know. I haven't really heard people talking about it because I've watched so many of these interviews now that people went carnivore and their life how their life changed.
Right.
And one of those things was not, or maybe I just never noticed it. Like they have all these issues they've been resolving, but the whole of being just lazy or whatever, lack of motivation, whatever that is pretty much like subsided. Interesting.
So and I attribute a lot of things because we've talked about, you know, I have become terribly aware of this thing. Like it's a new term to me, like new in the past year, you know, micro decision fatigue.
Okay.
Where he just always had, you know, what am I going to have for dinner? What is this? What is that? What is this? What is that? And it's like, dude, my grocery shopping is so much easier. My meal prepping is so much easier.
Grocery shopping, dude. I am getting like, I'm at the cart and like a chunk of meat, chunk of butter, and maybe another chunk of meat.
I know, right?
That's it.
No, and because I bought plenty. The butter I bought right at the beginning of this, I still have like 75% of what I.
Oh no, I'm on the second one. The second one's almost gone.
Well, I had butter at home.
Okay.
But then I bought that Kirkland butter in the green box.
The
But
green box.
I bought 2 of them.
Oh, my second one's almost gone. I have one like half a piece left. I'm buying it tomorrow.
And then right after that, I went out and bought a different grass-fed, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
That one I showed you,
Yep.
the Vital Farms. So that's kind of like the initial butter that I... Should we introduce the dog?
Sure.
No. Here, go. Wait, Vlad wants to introduce you.
No, well, you do the hop up thing. She doesn't know how to hop up.
She doesn't. No, she does. She just comes up. This is Wednesday. This is our co-host for today.
Make her speak. Woof.
Speak. Wednesday, speak.
Nope.
Oh, we're camera shy.
Like, no, I want hugs.
One more. Speak. Speak. She does know how to do it.
And not, but maybe when she's like sitting down, but not in that position.
Right? Speak. Shaking her head no. So, right. I have plenty of butter.
Okay.
The only thing that I get, you know, I get my eggs from my local guy. And so I just pick those up at work. I just get that while I'm there. And then the last time I went grocery shopping, I think it was like a week and a half ago, I showed you, it was 2 briskets. Like, done.
Right? That's it. The simplicity of it. Okay, but, you know, simplicity, like the micro fatigue you're saying of trying to, like, figure out what you're going to eat, trying to get a variety, all that's gone. So that's a huge benefit. Absolutely. I don't know, like, because let's say the regular diet, let's not even include the fast food garbage.
Okay.
Just the regular diet. I will always make food at home. Let's say mashed potatoes, rice, pasta, and you know, again, I'm not making pasta from scratch, but I'm trying to buy healthy pasta, whatever that is. It's still, you cannot eat it every day.
No,
Try eating mashed potatoes every day.
No, you're always looking for the combination. It's like, am I doing a spicy Cajun style?
Right.
Am I doing, you know, savory? Is it sweet potatoes and I want some brown sugar and butter on it?
Right.
You know, you take it, but you're always needing to move it around.
Now it's just beef, and it doesn't get boring. Well, hold on. Because I've tried this many times. I had the hugest craving for something. After I ate my steak, I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm going to just eat nothing but steak or meat, beef, whatever. I had the hugest craving for something, for some fruit, I don't know what it is. I don't know, like, why did I have that? I just ate this monster steak. I can't eat anymore. But my craving was so powerful, I literally had to go to the store and buy grapes.
Oh, a sugar bomb.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Just like fruit. It doesn't have to be any sugar. It's not ice cream, you know. But like my weakness was, you know, kryptonite was fruit.
Right.
And now I eat and I'm full and I'm like, I'm done.
So what's an interesting thing that you don't have to deal with that I have to deal with, and something that's been a stumbling block for anything else I've ever tried, which is diet while cohabitating. And one of the worst things that gets me into trouble is like, okay, so I'm starting to eat healthy. I'm doing salads. I'm doing, right, all these things. And then my partner doesn't want any of what I'm making and runs down the street, and we have like a really good pizza shop.
Oh.
Right? And so the temptation is just not there, which is odd. And this diet, because it is so minimal, doesn't interfere. Like, I don't have to spend all day in the kitchen just prepping my food, and then she has no time to cook her own food. Right? So I'm in and out in a flash, or I can just put something on the pot and walk away. It just doesn't take any. And then she's free to move about. And so we're not like stepping on each other's toes. And then I've taken her to get pizza. I've had the pizza in the car. I know what that pizza tastes like. And again, I know how I feel. And then you talk about being thirsty, eat one of those pizzas.
Oh, God, yeah.
Right? And in the morning you wake up and
you want a Coke or whatever other.
Oh, of course. I have to
poison
have
juice.
to have that. Goes back to Diet Shasta Cola. How many times we would go, it's like, what do you want? Pizza. Okay, well, if we go get a pizza, that we got to stop at the grocery store, get a 12-pack of Diet Pepsi and a thing of ice because our fridge is small.
And you do that, nobody bats an eye. That's normal.
Right.
Nobody will say, hey, that's a lot of poison you're putting in your body.
So on that, which is crazy, okay? So you say, I'm not feeling well. Or, maybe I'm a little off today. And they're like, maybe it's the diet. And I'm like, you realize that I've had plenty of off days in the past and worse than this.
Eating pizza all day long.
Right. And nobody says, well, maybe it was the Doritos you had.
Right.
And that's what it's crazy. That is a crazy thing to me. Like,
it's like this mind psychosis everybody's in. Like, I don't even know what it is. Everybody's trapped in this one like brain wavelength that they're trapped in. I don't know.
Any negative side effects you've experienced?
Social.
Yep.
Social negative effects. Why? What's it gonna do? Are you trying to lose weight? Are you sure it's healthy? You're not supposed to eat red meat.
Are you
Your
worried
cholesterol?
about your kidneys being damaged from all the meat you're eating?
Yeah.
So I broke that one down the other day.
Oh, yeah?
And I was like, the reality of it is the amount of meat and, like protein.
Okay, can you explain to me what the idea behind it is of how is it going to damage your kidneys? How's me eating tons of red meat going to damage my kidneys?
So you get into this. There is like two camps out there.
Okay.
Long story short, because I don't have all the hard science on all
Because if
these
you
things.
Google it, that's what's going to come up.
Right. There are these correlations between high amounts of protein
Okay.
and kidney damage.
Okay.
So
I'm curious how. I'll have to look into it. I'm curious. Well, what are
because
the links?
off the top of my head, what I can remember, one, you get a lot of uric acid in your blood. It falls along the lines of getting gout, which, by the way, no gout.
Maybe if you don't have insulin in your system, you won't have that issue.
Right. And then the thing that I argued was you do realize that as I've gone into this, that I am eating a little bit more meat than I had been before, but I ate a lot of food, and I would no problem polish off like half of a chicken.
But you needed that to fiber though.
Right. But then I also had the mashed potatoes with like half a chicken and,
Yeah, right.
and some broccoli. And so my point that I was trying to make with the person that I was talking to is that I am not really consuming that much more meat than I was before. I'm just not eating all the other stuff.
I think it's the same thing with me because I do a lot of ground beef, and I cook a big part of it, and then it's in the fridge, and I break off a piece, heat it up, and put a slab of butter on there. But normally that portion would be there plus either rice and like tomatoes, cucumbers, or mashed potatoes, tomatoes, cucumbers, or some other
Or
fruity
just
salad.
a beautiful big ass burger with fries.
That's a step.
Right.
But what I'm saying, like since I made stuff at home,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I would eat normally. That amount of meat would be about the same. Then I would have, like you said, a side of mashed potatoes, a side of like some sort of vegetable salad, and after that, I would eat some fruit
Right.
for a snack because I would get hungry.
Like 2 hours after all that.
30 minutes after.
No, and Chinese food, the stereotype for me was always true. We would order, usually these 4 boxes of Chinese food, and then we would make our own rice because we actually were like rice snobs, and we wanted our better rice.
Okay.
Not healthier, but better tasting, fluffier, whatever. And so we would polish off these 4 boxes of food, which is like noodles and beef and vegetables and then a ton of sauce and maybe some spring rolls, which would be on top of the 4 boxes. And of course, the rice that we made, soy sauce, all this stuff. And like nobody bats an eye at the sodium in that, which is, probably 10 times.
We probably eat less salt now.
Yes. I find it very difficult to believe that I'm consuming overall daily more salt than I had been before.
Because the salt amount and everything. I mean, again, I'm not a proponent, or I'm not gonna push for like eat little salt or less salt. I think your body does a pretty good job of telling you how much salt to eat. I think the problem comes in is all this processed foods that has all these salts and sugars and fats mixed into it, like this perfect combination of where it's not enough of the food, but you're consuming all the salts and sugars.
And that goes back to our bioengineers who have made the food saltier, and then they add other things to like bring the balance down. So you end up eating food, like if you look at how much sodium is in certain processed foods, it's like, where is all that sodium hiding?
Yeah, I'm not tasting this. This is like a full spoon of salt.
Right. And if I were to put that much salt from my salt shaker or salt grinder onto the outside of it, it'd be disgusting.
Well, I mean, all the salt is there so you could remove the machine taste. All the processed food hitting all the process or the channels of the machines that it goes through. That's one of them.
And the set comes crashing down.
So yeah, that's a big one.
Future. Because I remember when we first announced all this was like one of the hot topics on your tongue.
Absolutely.
So I'm kind of firing it back at you. Is this your forever plan, or how, because I personally, I'll tell you right where I'm at right now.
Okay, hold on. Let me tell you, because you asked me on the spot, because you already have your mind set up. I'm going to kind of shoot off my hip, as they say.
All right.
Shoot from the hip. When I originally started this, I'm like 90 days, right? Maybe 30 days at first. And I'm like, okay, 90 days. 90 days sounds about right. But as I keep going, it almost makes me feel stupid to, how can I say it, to go back to the regular way I was eating. Because again, as we're doing this carnivore diet, we are also every day we're looking at podcasts, listening to other people, to doctors talk about their results and other people's results, interviews of other people's results, and it's like more and more information. And then we're experiencing this, and now we're thinking we were drug addicts. We finally became sober, and as time goes on, I feel more and more sober. What reason would I have to go back to eating anything else?
Social.
Because eating something else, like, let's say a burger, right? With everything on it, all the sauces, right? It's not even, meat, again, meat is like probably the only thing, but all the sauces, all the vegetable oils, all the ingredients that goes into everything in that burger, and the fries, and all the sauce for the fries. That's kind of like doing a hit of whatever drug you enjoy. Mm-hmm. But social would probably be the ultimate. I don't know. Again, I love fruit, but since you asked me this question, I thought about it. I'm like, wait a minute. Because 2 weeks ago, I'm like, I want to go back to fruit. Now I'm like, I don't know. I think I might be okay. So that's where I'm at right now.
All right. So I'm all on board for the full 90 days.
Okay.
Because I was kind of giving myself the 30 days, close enough, where we're at now.
Yep.
Close enough. Because I literally had, like, fear. Like, I had concerns that, like, as I was walking into the door of, carnivore-based lion diet, my wife is there. She's saying, well, you can't get gout. You can't do this. You're going to have a heart attack, and just people say things.
Yep, the general.
And, it's like I look at it like, well, if I'm going to have a heart attack, I sure wouldn't mind feeling this good while I go. Right? So I wanted to see if I was going to somehow hurt myself in the first 30 days. And I don't see how that's possible. Like cause and effect just says, you can't feel this much better and it be that bad for you. Okay, so I'm totally on board, at least for the next 90 days, or not in the next 90, for the full 90 days. And at that point where I sit right now, which might be different when we get to that point, is, slowly incorporating other things, maybe some other meats. Because right now, we'll kind of touch on this before we wrap up. Besides just not craving pizza and donuts and
sure,
okay, and I showed you the cake they brought into work,
right?
Right,
yeah.
I was like, okay,
I saw it over there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I look at certain things now, and I'm not really that interested in them. And I'll give you the example that's on the top of my head, which is chicken. I really look at chicken, and I'm kind of like, it almost looks like
I agree with you.
It's like the vegetable of meat.
I agree with you. Yeah.
It doesn't sound appealing, even like juicy dark meat, because I feel like I don't know exactly what it is or is missing or whatever, but I really look forward to going home and having my dinner.
Beef.
So
on that, because the first week I made pork shish kebab, right? And then it was like, oh, okay, it was pretty good. Second week was chicken, not as good. And then the third week I had shrimp, and then this week I had salmon. Salmon by far is one of the better ones, but it feels like it's just not right. I don't know. It's not the same.
Right.
It feels like I'm like either going, be in the same spot or kind of going backwards. Beef is every time hits the mark.
Right. Yeah. And so that's kind of because I think there are some things out there that do sound good. Like shrimp and butter sounds actually like I could
That's
do.
what it did. Exactly what I did. Shrimp and butter.
You know, I could go for that.
I'll tell you what, it did not fill me. I felt like I could eat a lot of shrimp, which I did.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, the classic surf and turf, that actually sounds just spectacular. Like,
What's a surf and turf?
surf is the shrimp and turf is the beef.
Oh, okay.
And it's just like a restaurant term. When somebody might say, do you want to go for Chinese? You know what that is. Somebody might say you want to go for surf and turf.
Gotcha.
And it's usually some sort of.
But again, yeah, I made it from scratch, and I bought
Yeah.
the raw fish or the raw shrimp.
Right. But, I think if I were to have shrimp, I would definitely want to pair it with some beef.
Yeah.
But no, I'm actually, what's crazy is like, I'm really looking forward to seeing where our next 60 days, because it's like twice as long as the journey that we've just
Exactly.
gone.
Now, yeah, our next progress is going to be 60 days. See where we're at.
Well, it'll be our next progress check-in 60 days,
In 30 days. In 30 days.
but 60-day mark.
Yeah.
Right. And then what I was saying is, so we've done 30, and I'm really excited about the 90-day mark because when we hit 90 days, we'll have doubled the amount of travel that we just did.
Yep.
So we just did 30. 60 more days from now, we'll be at 90. And I'm really excited to see what transpires. And, you can look at the first podcast that we did. It's kind of fun doing this for the other reason. And you can see.
We'll see. Yeah.
No, but I mean, just from our first podcast
Yeah,
to this
yeah.
one, you can see me.
Yep.
Like,
It's gonna be a huge. I'm looking forward to it. But okay, anyways, I would say so far the biggest takeaway is the insulin. Literally the takeaway. We are not addicted to insulin. I think that hormone itself, it affects so many other things in our body, and like the whole, remember, like I did eat steak before. I could eat a whole steak, but after that, because I still had insulin, I was still in my what's it called, elevated insulin part, I was craving other food so bad.
no, and we would eat that after eating all day. I would eat
Right?
breakfast.
Right?
I would have a snack. I would eat lunch. I'd have a snack. I'd come home and have this massive dinner, which would be a meat product, chicken or steak, mashed potatoes, or some other rice. Oh my God, chicken. My wife, the whitest meal ever: chicken, rice, and broccoli.
Love it.
Right,
Yeah.
and we would eat that all the time. And now,
90, not maybe 90s, like 120 days. We'll see. We'll keep going, right? At least I am. I want to interview your wife at like 6 months or something.
she is. I'll tell you, like I said,
I want to see like a third person perspective of watching you and what she like thought of it, how she sees your change, because the changes are dramatic, right? I think here's another thing, like the weight loss is there, but the body composition is changing.
right.
I think that's a big one.
And it's crazy because I wonder if part of the body's composition has to do with the mental part of it, because the things like what I would say to somebody right now is like, if you're having trouble finding the motivation to go to the gym, get off of insulin.
Yeah.
You see what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
is there something kind of connected between the brain and, because I feel strong. Because these were things that I was worried about. You hear about people, oh, you're not going to have any energy, no carbs. You're just going to be like, ooh. And
Well, I was like that for the first week or, week and a half maybe.
right,
I did have that. It was a little tough. But now I don't even notice it.
Right.
And it's even. That's the thing. It's not like this,
Right.
right? With the traditional carb diet, it's like this. Now it's just like a smooth
Right.
overall experience.
No, and then right when you do get hungry, I'm not getting hangry.
Exactly. Like
And
if I don't eat like tonight, like I don't get the chance, it's fine. It's okay.
right, and then the most feeling that I ever got would be after pasta specifically. And
Yeah,
nothing
it's
hit.
carb overload.
Yeah, and because rice I tolerated pretty well, but between pizza and pastas,
Your
I
insulin going over time.
right, and so I would, it's not like I would eat all this insulin. It's not like I would eat all these carbs and then have like all this energy. I would eat all day, be like barely functioning as long as I had like 3 cans of energy drinks.
Okay, I'm gonna add something. Also, I just remembered. I've also in the social environment there was processed meats and cheese.
Ah, yes.
Little cube, and I just had little cubes of cheese, little tiny pieces of meat and salamis or whatever it was. No, it's not. No, it's not the same. It's when you're eating the beef, it just feels clean.
Yeah.
It feels stable, clean. It's like the magic food. But that stuff, no, it didn't go right, didn't sit right, didn't feel right. It wasn't the same thing.
Right. No, and I was out one of the days when those twins were like firstborn and we
Sure.
were going to the hospital. And I found myself needing like I needed to eat. I was getting really hungry. And so I settled on some raw goat cheese.
Okay.
And that's almost all fat.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too bad.
Right. And so I ate that and yeah, oh, dude, I was so freaking level. Like because my wife and her mom and everybody, dad to the new twins and all that, they're all just eating these massive sandwiches. And I literally had, hold that up to the camera, this little, really, really skinny, just this little flat wedge of this organic raw goat cheese that I was able to get there. I ate that on the car ride over and then sat there and watched all of these people just chowing these like huge sandwiches, and they look really good, and I do remember them.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
But like I was good and I was so level, and then that was it for that day. I didn't eat anything else for the rest of that day. That was sort of and it's just weird to be so.
Well, I mean, again, like I think at some point, because we're just kind of animal-based kind of food, right? I think at some point I'm gonna try to introduce some raw, like cottage cheese, milk, like dairy stuff like that, and see how it goes. But I'm definitely gonna monitor like how I feel, right? My weight, my strength, all that.
No, and it's really cool because I like the idea that I can introduce something and know I can just introduce one thing. Like even like I don't know what like a bag of chips. When you really think about a bag of chips, that's not just one thing. That's like a whole ton of things all collaborated to form a snack. So I like this idea of, if we get to a place, maybe I will try some raw dairy as a normal, but I can just introduce that one thing and see if it makes me feel better or worse. And if it makes me feel worse, I can stop and then know, okay, I'm not.
And it's not going to be a daily occurrence.
Right. So I like the idea of being able to have, what what are they? It's like when you do a randomized test. You have like a control base.
Yeah. Okay.
I like the idea of having a control base where I can just say, here's where I'm at. If I put this in, does it work? And I'll be honest with you, like with the eggs for me, I wouldn't, because like I look at chicken, I don't even want to taste chicken. Like
Yep,
really
I'm right there with you,
the
yeah.
thought of, but I really enjoy the taste of the eggs, and
Sure,
I usually eat them in the morning, and I feel like if I wasn't enjoying it so much, if the flavor was, because like I said, like I look at a piece of chicken and I really just don't want it, so I'm not forcing myself to eat them, and I feel like they're well tolerated with everything that we're doing. So that's kind of how I'm gauging that.
And chicken and beef are very different. Or sorry, eggs and beef is very different.
Eggs and chicken are very different.
Yeah. But egg and beef is also very different.
Right.
Right. So it's kind of good to know like eggs work, beef works, I think, and butter.
And
But
butter.
yeah, butter is kind of a dairy thing.
Butter is I am keeping kind of a fun rotation between the tallow, the ghee, and the regular butter.
Okay. I need to get some tallow. Yeah.
I'll send you a link, but
All right.
yeah, I don't make the tallow on everything, but if I have something particularly lean, I'll add it on purpose. So if I have a particularly lean piece of beef that I'm working on, because I had that chuck, and some of the chuck is really fatty, but there's portions of it that were really lean, and that's
Yep,
how.
you want to add the fat into
Yeah,
it. Yeah, I
so-
try to cut it so I could have the fat with the
Right.
lean meat.
So, anyways, is that wrapping up our
Yeah, I think I'm all
yeah?
this
Carnivore?
is the 4-week, 30-day update.
Right.
Yeah, about
Yeah.
that. And next update, you want to do 60 days or 90 days?
I think we should come back in 60 days,
Okay.
and then
Because we had so many changes in the 30 days, right? I want to see if there's more changes or it just stabilizes, which I think it's just going to stabilize.